And now we welcome on from NJ Advanced Media, nj.com/Jets. That is our sister site. Darryl Slater joining us. Darryl, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So first of all, the big question is, how in the heck did it happen? How? How did the Jets rise up and beat the Rams?
Well, I mean, they got lucky, of course, and their defense played pretty well against a Rams team that really has been so inconsistent at times this year, and it goes down as one of the biggest upsets in NFL history. Really, I mean, the line was 17, and you don't see many of those games come around very often, and so. Yeah, I think if you look at this Jets defense, they've played well in spurts this year. They have a couple good players. They have Quinn Williams, really, he's their only good player on defense, really good player. And Mekhi Becton played pretty darn well at left tackle in that game too. So a couple glimmers of hope for the future for this team. But on the other hand, they're probably not going to get Trevor Lawrence now. So Jets fans were, I wouldn't even say conflicted. They were furious that they won that game.
But are the Jets 100% certain that Sam is not the guy?
I think there's probably hope within the organization because he's an earnest kid who's really tried to do this right. He's done everything right in terms of putting in the effort and the work. He's had struggles with injuries, but he's been able to rebound from those. He's shown flashes. Like he played pretty darn good in that game in LA last week. And those are the things that you've seen from him. But the decision-making and the turnovers have been so problematic. On the flip side of that, he hasn't had a lot of help. He really hasn't in terms of the offensive line, in terms of the weapons. And you look at Denzel Mims, a promising receiver who they just drafted out of Baylor, who has not been healthy for a lot of the year. So then you say, okay, what does he do when he has all of his weapons on the field? And he's obviously better. So yeah, maybe this is a guy who can be a above average starter in the NFL, and you can win with him if you have a lot of good pieces around him. There's certainly been situations like that, right? So not everybody has to be like this elite quarterback prospect, but I think the notion that he's ever going to be a true star is not realistic.
With Darnold, is a lot of it just that maybe he hasn't had the sort of obviously talent, but just maybe the scheme fit and things like that? Because I know Adam Gase is really big on running out that 11 personnel as much as possible. Does that just not fit what Sam Darnold is?
I think it's a lot of that type of stuff, the square peg, round hole type of problems that they've had, because this is a complex offense that Gase has really not adjusted too much to this quarterback, right? So Darnold's really good throwing on the run, moving out of the pocket, rolling out. You saw that like from his rookie year when there were flashes of potential there. Like you said, Gase is sort of married to this system. If the Jets can hit the jackpot and bring in a coach like maybe Eric Bieniemy, like the Browns did with Kevin Stefanski, who can harness what skills this guy has and channel that into a more productive offense, maybe there's a chance, I think, that he could be more productive. But I mean, you look at Mayfield, he really had in 18 a type of year that Darnold hasn't had. So you kind of knew like, okay, there's something here. Obviously last year with Freddie Kitchens, the production was lackluster, and now it's back. So I don't know if it's as sure of a thing with Darnold that could be kind of not even rediscovered, but discovered with a new coach entering now the fourth year. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm skeptical, but I think certainly Gase has not done him any favors. He really hasn't. It's been a disaster. So all around.
My other question right now is Quinn Williams. I mean, it looks like he's out. He's not going to play. And I don't know, are they going to be able to do anything against this high-powered Browns offense without Quinn Williams?
Probably not. I mean, he's been such a revelation this season. He really did not play well last year as a rookie. And then you have to wonder, is this a guy who can pressure the pocket, who can move a quarterback off his spot, or is he just a run stuffer? And this year he came out and proved it in a huge way. I mean, 7 sacks, but he's coming off a concussion and a neck injury. They shut him down for the year. They put him on IR, so he's done for the year. It sounds like he'll be okay for the future, but just done for the year. Obviously not going to be able to play in this game. And so that's significant. I mean, I think you saw last week, and everyone saw with the Giants what Baker Mayfield did in tearing apart their secondary. I cover the Giants too, so I watched every bit of that game and saw like he sliced and diced that defense because they weren't able to do anything in terms of getting to him. So or in terms of coverage either, which is another issue with the Jets that they've had for years now. But yeah, Quinn Williams, the best player by far in their defense. Now that Jamal Adams is gone, that CJ Mosley opted out. So yeah, I think Marcus May is a guy in the secondary who can help a little bit in coverage. You saw he made that insane play. I don't know how many people watching this saw that play in LA at the end of that game. Like, he's a really good player. He's a really good free safety, but I don't know how much of a difference he's going to make with Baker Mayfield just sitting back there for 3, 4, 5 seconds picking apart this defense.
The Browns are favored by 9.5 in this game. Do you think it's going to be close? I mean, what are your thoughts on how this will play out?
I think it will not be close. I think I was really impressed with. I had not watched a lot of Browns games this year, but I was really impressed with what they did last week against the Giants. And set aside the fact that Colt McCoy really, you don't have much of a chance when he's out there. Nice enough guy, but obviously not a legit NFL starter. Certainly not at this point in his career. But yeah, like I was really impressed with Baker Mayfield. I think it had been. I covered the first game that he played in when he replaced Tyrod Taylor in that crazy night when they broke open the Bud Light cases. Remember that? It seems like forever ago. And that was the Jets, and they collapsed in that game. And it seemed like the Jets and Browns have played like every year now for the last few years. But the development that he has made has been so impressive, and what he's done under Stefanski has been just so impressive that I don't see any way the Jets secondary. You're going to see a lot of similar numbers, I think, to what Mayfield did last week against that Giants secondary without James Bradbury, because even without James Bradbury, the Giants secondary is probably better than what the Jets are going to trot out there on Sunday, which is not very impressive. Maybe the worst secondary in the league. And then no Quinn Williams. I don't see any way Sam Darnold can keep pace with that unless somehow some fluky stuff happens. Will they cover the 9.5? I think probably, but I think that line should be bigger. I mean, if the Jets had lost like they should have in LA, then that you'd probably be looking at a 13 or something like that. But yeah, I think the Browns should have no problem beating this Jets team and moving toward the playoffs.